Well, welcome back, family. This is your talented 10th Coach Jay coming at you with some more financial tools for you to use in your wealth building journey. And we know that these tools can be used for anyone, but I'm here for my black people because we have been left behind. For many years, we have been left behind. And a lot of this information that you're going to receive, I have received it during the pandemic. During the beginning of the pandemic, I started binge watching YouTube financial uh, YouTubers giving all these nuggets, and I only came across just a couple of people who look like me who were delivering the information. And I know what we do as black people. We look at the other folks and we're like, I don't really trust what they're saying. But a lot of this information that I've received, I'm going to be sharing with you. I received it from people who don't look like me, the people who are operating in this space, the people who have studied this thing out and researched. And YouTube, all this information is free. And I will never sell you a course. I am all about just giving, delivering information for free. It was given, freely you receive, freely it was given, and all of that. So I just want to share with you this wonderful tool that we have. About the Roth IRA. I've been sharing it. I'm going to continue to share a little bit more, but I wanted to take a digression into one of the reasons why I want you guys to be involved with this tax-free tool of the Roth IRA. You're getting taxed on it now while your income is low, and once it builds and you start pulling out or just having the money in investment, you're using index funds which have lower fees than managed mutual funds. 1% versus 0.05%, 0.04, or 3%. It's a big difference when you have hundreds of thousands of dollars versus millions of dollars. So I want you guys to be very cognizant of using index funds versus actively managed mutual funds. And you can choose to have someone manage it for you, but why when you can do it yourself and pay yourself? 1% on $1 million versus 0.05% from an index fund, you do the math and tell me which one you want to pay. If you consistently have $1 million every year, they're taking out 1, 2, or 3% to manage your money. That they're not doing any better than the index funds, because the index funds track the S&P total stock market, or S&P 500. And Warren Buffett proved it out. He challenged a gentleman that was actively, or several managers that was actively trading. He said, you cannot beat it. And Warren Buffett won the bet. So the greatest investor in the world tell you that? He said, what he going to do if he passed away and his wife is still living? He's going to put, 99% of it, or 1% of it, into S&P 500. He particularly chose Vanguard. The greatest investor in the world, still living. Why should I try to reinvent the wheel? I shouldn't. So watch this. This is what we're going to use. We've been using this Roth IRA. So this is my strategy, and you can do whatever you want with it. Once again, the Secure Act 2.0 Act of 2022 came out, and it had a provision in there, and they came out and they said, well, if this child does not need the money because they receive scholarships or whatever, and they don't really need to use this money, now they can transfer that 529 over to their heir, if they, once they have a child and all of that, or their spouse or a sibling. But let's say that we're going to build generational wealth, and this is what I'm doing. My goal is for my great grandbaby is I am loading up my Roth IRA now, what we've been talking about, because I won't need it. Loading it up now, so when my first great grandbaby is born and get a social security number, just like I have for my grandchildren, I have 529s for each of them individually. But the first great grandbaby, my goal is to remember. I'll be past the age and all the requirements to pull out money tax free from my Roth anyway. But my thing is, I've already paid money on this $35,000 that I want to use to load up the great grandbaby's 529. And then I let that money sit from 0 to 20 years basically. at 10% compound growth. We've been using 10% because we know that's what the index funds have been doing over the last, since 1950 or so. Even in the ups and downs of the market, the average has been about at least 10%. I've seen it where it's been 11 points. Some reports say 11.95%, almost 12%. But I know firsthand when I've been watching my funds, index funds for the last 4 years, 43% last year, and none of them have been below 20%. Just in the last 4 years of me really tracking my own index funds that I've been investing in. So anyway, we're going to load up the first grandbaby's 529. It's going to be probably in Fidelity or Vanguard, S&P 500, 529 fund. Once again, it depends on what state. They can go in tax-free. It bills tax-free, and once they go to take it out or transfer it over, which you'll talk about in a minute, the beautiful thing is it'll all be tax-free. And when they go pull out of that other account, the Roth IRA account, it'll be tax-free. Listen at this, $35,000. We're going to put it in a 529 for the first grandbaby. When we get their Social Security number, they're born, or an adopted child. Doesn't even have to be your own. You may want to adopt it. Whoever have the first child may want to adopt. We're going to take $35 from grandpa's Roth IRA. I've already paid the taxes on it. No more taxes will be owed on it. Put it in a 529. Let that 529 grow, because we're not trying to put it in there for college necessarily. We're putting it in there for this tax-free money. And now the new provision that they put in the Secure Act 2.0 of 2022, President Biden signed off on December 2022. They don't need that money for college. As long as that money's been in there for 15 years, that account's been open for 15 years in that child's name, you can start transferring money from your 529 into that child's Roth IRA. Once again, all penalty tax-free. This is called generational wealth. Now, let's go back and do the math on it. $35,000 at 10% compound growth for 20 years, $235,000. $235,000, $462.50. That's exactly what it'll be at 10% compound growth for 20 years. At $35,000 that grandpa's already paid taxes on. No more taxes will be due on it, tax-free. And we transfer that money over to the 529. And each year, what we got to do. So right now, you can only do $7,000 into your Roth IRA for the year 2024. We know by then it'll be up to $10,000 most likely. So what we plan on doing, I'm just projecting out 20 years from now, we can roll over $10,000 a year. Now that child's got to make $10,000, whatever that amount is that we're rolling over. That child's got to work and make that much money. They don't have to contribute, because we're going to roll the money over from the 529 into the Roth, their Roth IRA in their name. Game changer. So we're going to do that for 3 years. $10,000 the first year, $10,000 the second year, $10,000 third year. Now we got to make sure that that child is working, making at least, we're projecting out $10,000 of earned income for that year. They don't have to put a dime in the Roth, because we're transferring it over. And the most you can put in there, we'll say projected out by then, it'll be $10,000 a year by then, 20 years from now. And then the last year, the fourth year, we will put in now $5,000, because the most that you can put in, can transfer over, is $35,000. That's what the law is right now from the Secure Act, setting every community up for retirement enhancement. That's what that name Secure means. Secure Act 2.0 of 2022. So now we have transferred all that money over. So we said 20, 21, 22, 23. By the time that child is 23 years old, all that money, that $35,000 is transferred over. And now we're going to let this money sit until they're 59 and a half. And then they can start pulling all that money out tax-free. They've never paid taxes on it. And it'll be well over $2 million that they have for their retirement by this strategy we're just gamified. We just gamified this strategy. And then we still got over $200,000 left for college because we use that $35,000 and let it sit for 20 years. They can still use whatever's left over or transfer it over to the next to their child when they have a baby and continue the same process because of grandpa's, great grandpa's $35,000 seed that he's visualizing, that I am visualizing now for generational wealth for generations to come. And we can continue this process for every great grandchild and set them all up by using this vehicle of the Roth IRA now, loading it up now to be able to load them up later and they don't have to pay taxes. Taxes is a big deal when building wealth. And if you can pay your due diligence, we're not trying to skip the laws, but we're just working with what the law tells us we can do. Once again, that section for the 529 transferring over from your 529 to a Roth section 126. Go back and read. One of the things that we don't take advantage of is our reading skills that we were trained in school to do, or we should have been trained to do. We need to take advantage. Here's the Secure Act 2.0. This is the whole thing. Section 126. We just changed the generational wealth for our entire generation by using this simple strategy. This is just one of the things in the Secure Act 2.0. Section 126. And listen at this. Beneficiaries of the 529 college savings account would be permitted to roll over up to $35,000 over the course of their lifetime from a 529 account in their name to the Roth IRA. It says these rollovers are also subject to Roth IRA annual contribution limits. You remember I talked about whatever the limit is, you got to be able to make that earned income for that year. This year for 2024 is $7,000. Now, if I don't make $7,000, if they don't make $7,000 for that year, say they made $3,000, that's all they can contribute for that year, up to $35,000 lifetime. And it also says the 529 account must have been open for more than 15 years. Just what I told you. This is Congress approved of this. And we need to take advantage of this. This is one vehicle, but it started with the Roth. You see why I started you guys with the Roth IRA? We're going to get into the 401k and we're going to get into the Grow the Gap Fund. But I wanted to start you with the Roth IRA because it's just not about us building for ourselves. We can now be able to move some of this money tax-free, penalty-free over until the next generations with the NAS. And it just continues and it gets greater and greater. And then you start using other strategies to build wealth for your family. So I just wanted to share that with you today. This is a wonderful vehicle starting with the Roth IRA. And then you, in your mindset, look at it as a wealth building tool in other areas like the 529. So I just want to divert from our talking about strategies for you putting on your mask first. You know, you got to make sure you're taking care of yourself first before you take care of anyone else. So we're using this tool of the Roth IRA to now branch off to other areas, and it's all tax-free. Tax-free. This is huge. So please consider this and don't forget to make sure as you start investing in the Roth IRA and the 529s, you're looking at index funds. You're looking at funds that have lower expense ratios because we're trying to build wealth for us and not trying to load other people's pockets that they're not really doing anything except for just looking at your stuff. I got one friend I've never even contacted them. I do everything online, so why should I pay them? If it's 1 and 2 and 3% when I can go to 0.03% or 4% or 5%. Just want to drop this in your bag. Talk to you later.